Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Monday, February 24, 2020. Join us for the next 45 minutes as we deliver today's top stories around the globe. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and live via streaming worldwide through UNTV News and Rescue Facebook account and untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
And here are the headlines.
ABS-CBN President Carlo Katigbak apologizes to President Rodrigo Duterte for failing to air 7 million pesos worth of advertisement which his campaign for during the 2016 elections. Justice Secretary Panelo says Congress can authorize the National Telecommunications Commission to grant a temporary franchise to ABS-CBN pending legislative action on the media giant's license renewal. The number of Filipinos on board the Diamond Princess cruise ship who have tested positive for the COVID-19 has risen to 59. More than 400 Filipinos have signified to return to the country tomorrow. A 43-year-old Filipino confined in a United Arab Emirates hospital is currently in an unstable condition due to the coronavirus disease. The Department of Transportation to begin excavation for the Metro Manila subway by the second quarter of 2020. Wish 1075 holds first ever Wish Olympics for the benefit of the Taal volcano eruption victims.
A Senate panel holds a hearing today to look into the issues surrounding the franchise renewal of media giant ABS-CBN Broadcasting Corporation.
In the hearing, ABS-CBN has apologized to President Rodrigo Duterte for failing to air local campaign ads during the 2016 presidential elections. The media network maintains it did not violate its franchise. Arlene Delgado details why.
ABS-CBN Corporation President and Chief Executive Officer Carlo Katigbak explained during today's Senate hearing on the media network's alleged franchise violation the issue of the non-airing of President Rodrigo Duterte's political ad. Katigbak argued the network was able to air all the national campaign ads of the president during the 2016 presidential elections worth 117 million pesos, but it failed to air 7 million of the 65 million peso worth of local ads, explaining that they were placed late and the slots were already closed in a first-come, first-served basis. According to Katigbak, they were able to return the 4 million out of the 7 million pesos worth of unaired ads. They tried to refund the remaining 2.6 million pesos, but President Duterte refused to accept it. Senator Christopher Bongo meanwhile showed a photo of the supposed long overdue check from ABS-CBN. Katigbak maintains that ABS-CBN does not side with any political affiliation.
Today we want to make a categorical statement together with our chairman, Mark Lopez, that ABS does not and will not have its own political agenda.
The network, meanwhile, remains firm that it did not violate its franchise contrary to the Quo Warranto petition filed by Solicitor General Jose Calida. Katigbak says they acknowledged their shortcomings and mistakes and vowed to correct them. He also apologized to President Duterte.
Sorry if we offended the president. That was not the intention of the network. We felt that we were just abiding by the laws and regulations that surround the airing of political ads.
The Bureau of Internal Revenue, for its part, revealed that ABS-CBN Corporation has been a regular taxpayer for years. The agency noted that from 2016 to 2019, the company paid over 14 billion pesos in taxes. The Securities and Exchange Commission, meanwhile, adds it has no records of complaint against the network. The senators urged the SEC to start investigating the Philippine Deposit Receipts or PDRs of the network to identify whether or not it has committed violations. The National Telecommunications Commission or NTC was also told to fast-track its issuance of guidelines in the use of pay-per-view service of broadcast networks. Justice Secretary Panelo says it is legal, citing his written opinion on the matter. However, the NTC says the network may have violated the Public Service Act after it continued its pay-per-view offering through its Kapamilya box office or KBO channel, despite the stoppage order of the DICT and without the implementing rules and regulations of the NTC. ABS-CBN countered this, saying that the NTC actually approved the KBO service in May 2019 pending the Commission's release of guidelines.
Wala pa pong guidelines up to today. Ang aming pong paniniwala is pending the issuance of such guidelines, if they ever come out, do not prohibit us from pursuing the migration from analog to digital.
Following this, some senators asked if this can be really a ground for cancellation of franchise. Under the Public Service Act, such violation corresponds with a 200 peso per day fine only.
More of the senators are convinced that if there are violations, and there are, that it does not necessarily merit a cancellation of the franchise.
The senator adds the hearing was able to shed light on the franchise allegations even with Solicitor General Calida's absence. In his letter to Senator Grace Poe, Calida said he declined the lawmakers' invitation to attend the hearing, citing that the issues to be discussed are in violation of the sub judice rule.
Attorney Calida can do what he wants. He can continue to question it. But again, it goes back to the fact that the right to grant and to revoke a franchise, as it is in the law, is with Congress.
Corlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
About over 100 employees and talents of ABS-CBN modestly marched outside the company's premises in Quezon City today in what they call a walk of faith. Let's find out why from Asher Kadapan Jr.
With the intent to express support to the media network company they worked for in years, around 100 celebrities and employees of ABS-CBN Corporation gathered outside the company headquarters in Quezon City Monday morning. They hope for the renewal of the company's franchise.
Ito na yung way namin para mapakita sa kumpanya na namin na sinusuportahan namin ang pagsulong ng pag-approve ng franchise na ABS-CBN.
Para lang malaman ng ibang tao na meron kaming pinaglalaban, na meron kaming gustong iparating, gusto sanang maaprubahan yung franchise renewal ng aming company. Kasi matagal na rin naman kami dito and wala naman kaming masama experience sa company.
Today's Walk of Faith is just one of the several gatherings of ABS-CBN celebrities and employees to show their support to the media company that has provided them livelihood. ABS-CBN CEO and President Carlo Katigbak maintained the company does not have to stop operations and they are ready to follow the legal process. The media network claims to have 11,000 employees. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The more than 2-hour debate in today's Senate hearing if lawmakers have the authority to hear ABS-CBN's franchise issue was a waste of time. Dante Amento tells us why.
Presidential spokesperson and Chief Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo criticized the Senate hearing on ABS-CBN's franchise today. He cited a waste of time in discussing the Senate's authority or power to conduct a hearing on the TV network's franchise renewal application. Panelo says the Senate should have known this matter much earlier because even the Supreme Court said that they can do such hearing. The committee must tackle the focal issue instead.
They spent 2 hours discussing whether they have authority to do that or not. I cannot even understand. Hindi pala kayo sigurado ng trabaho niya. Bakit pinagdidibatihan pa niya?
The presidential spokesperson, however, commended ABS-CBN President and CEO Carlo Katigbak for admitting their shortcomings.
I'm glad finally ABS-CBN has admitted its shortcomings to the President. Dapat nung pa nila kayong ginawa.
But will President Duterte accept the apology?
I do not know. Presidente, it's personal to him.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Department of Justice Secretary Bernardo Guevara recommends to Congress to pass a concurrent resolution authorizing National Telecommunications Commission to issue temporarily a provisional authority for ABS-CBN. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
There is a gap in the Philippine Constitution as to what will be the status of radio and television networks with pending application of franchise renewals on Congress. This is what Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara stated during the Senate hearing today. According to Secretary Guevara, in the case that there is no clear law, authorities can use equity as basis. Senator Grace Poe presented instances of Senate hearings where 9 companies have franchises that had lapsed but still continued to operate while the Congress continues to deliberate whether to approve their renewal or not.
Kaya inirekomenda ko, sinuggest ko sa Senate, sa Congress na mag-pass ng concurrent resolution authorizing the National Telecommunications Commission na mag-issue pansamantala ng provisional authority.
The Congress may order the National Telecommunications Commission or NTC to release a provisional franchise to ABS-CBN Corporation so the network can continue operating while the Congress continues to hear the application for franchise renewal. The Justice Secretary also clarified that the expiration of ABS-CBN's franchise is on May 4, 2020 and not on March 30. The NTC also said that the Commission can withdraw the provisional franchise.
Considering that there is no more franchise since it has already lapsed, then we can withdraw the provisional authority anytime, but subject to conditions.
This is a move questioned by senators as it may lead to the closure of the company and therefore affecting its thousands of talents and employees.
Parang capital punishment. Ipapatay natin death penalty. Wala naman palang penalty. Eh di pagmultahin na lang, bakit kailangan isara?
We can let ABS-CBN continue to broadcast, but mas maganda po kasi kung meron din, sir.
Cordoba said that based on past precedents, there has not been an instance where they have ordered a station to close while its franchise is being heard in the Congress. There are 11 bills pending with the Legislative Franchise Committee of the House of Representatives. The Legislative Franchise Committee has stated to hear the issue of ABS-CBN's franchise, in which the committee will first gather all petition papers of those against and for the franchise renewal. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Meanwhile, groups who support the renewal of ABS-CBN Corporation's franchise gathered outside the office of the Senate of the Philippines today. They say they fear that thousands of employees would lose their jobs if the media network's franchise renewal is denied. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
Various ABS-CBN supporters flocked to the Senate office in Pasay City to shout their sides as the Senate hearing on the media network's franchise began today. Some were from media groups, others were from different organizations. Several ABS-CBN employees also came to voice out their sentiments. What the supporters of ABS-CBN Corporation primarily fears is the possible effect on the thousands of ABS-CBN employees if the company's franchise renewal does not get approved.
Sa tingin namin kapag hindi naibigay sa amin, isa lang ako sa 11,000 manggagawa na nanganganib na mawalan ng trabaho.
The National Union of Journalists of the Philippines, or NUJP, calls on lawmakers to give time to hear the 11 bills concerning the station's franchise.
Ilang prangkisa na yung naipapasa nila, ba't yung ABS-CBN matagal na rin naipile yan. Ba't ayaw nilang pagalawin yung proseso? Yun lang naman hinihingi natin, pagalawin ang proseso.
He also argued that issues involving the station can be addressed through government agencies.
Sinasabing campaign ads, sa korte dapat dinadala yan. Yung sinasabing sa buwis, kung meron man, sabi nga ng BIR, settled na. Pero kung meron pa man, may tax courts naman
They stress not renewing ABS-CBN's franchise is tantamount to committing a violation against the right of press freedom. The group Tindig Pilipinas has the same sentiment.
Ito ay isa lamang hakbang, unang hakbang para sabihin sa iba pang mga media outlets. Subukan nyo kaming maging kritiko at itong mangyayari sa inyo.
ABS-CBN supporters plan to hold a set of events in the following days in support to the station's franchise renewal. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The Philippines' oldest broadcast network faces threat of franchise non-renewal. This is not the first time for ABS-CBN to face such a huge challenge. Not only the employees but also the supporters of the broadcast network who worry about the possible non-renewal of the giant station. This is the first time for the oldest network to experience a threat of closure. Rosalie Cos details why.
On October 23, 1953, Alto Broadcasting System or ABS had its first television broadcast through a transmitter tower in San Juan and 300 television sets. This was the former Bolinao Electronics Corporation, owned by the father of Philippine television, James Linderberg, and acquired by Tony Quirino, brother of former President Elpidio Quirino. On February 24, 1957, lawyer and Chronicle Broadcasting Network or CBN owner Eugenio Lopez Sr. acquired ABS, which led to the merger ABS-CBN. On September 21, 1972, former President Ferdinand Marcos ordered the closure of ABS-CBN, its affiliate stations, and other networks as the country was placed under martial law. On September 16, 1986, ABS-CBN resumed its broadcast after the 1896 EDSA revolution. On March 30, 1995, former President Fidel Ramos signed Republic Act 7966, granting ABS-CBN Broadcasting Corporation a 25-year franchise. In 2014, during the 16th Congress, former Isabela Representative Georgie D. Agabao filed the network's franchise renewal, but it did not pass through the Committee on Legislative Franchises. In 2016, similar bills were also filed but remained pending before the committee level. On November 8, 2018, President Rodrigo Duterte warned of blocking the franchise renewal of ABS-CBN and criticized the network's chairman emeritus Gabi Lopez. President Duterte had been complaining about the station's non-airing of some of its advertisement for the 2016 polls.
Kaya hindi ko kayo palusutin. Yung franchise ninyo matatapos. But let me ask you questions first. Kasi ako talaga mag-object na ma-renew kayo. Alam mo bakit? Magnanakaw kayo. Estapador. Ginawa ninyo sa amin, marami kami.
In 2019, several bills were also filed before the House of Representatives to renew the franchise of the network. But on December 30, 2019, the chief executive advised the owners of ABS-CBN to sell the corporation.
Itong ABS, mag-expire ang contract ninyo, mag-renew kayo, aywan ko lang kung ang mamayari sa inyo. Ako pa sa iyo, pagbili na ninyo yan. Kasi ang Pilipino ngayon lang makaganti sa inyong kalokohan. And I will make sure that you will remember this episode of our times forever.
84 days before the expiration of ABS-CBN's franchise on May 4, 2020, Solicitor General Jose Calida went to the Supreme Court to file a quo warranto petition against the ABS-CBN network and its subsidiary ABS-CBN Convergence. The quo warranto petition was filed to question the alleged violation of ABS-CBN against the terms and conditions of its franchise. According to the OSG, the pay-per-view channel of ABS-CBN was launched and operated without the approval of the National Telecommunications Commission. Solgen Calida also accused ABS-CBN of allowing foreign investors to be among the network owners. But according to ABS-CBN, it did not violate the regulations, and all their business operations are in accordance with the law. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue.
ABS-CBN Corporation's franchise will expire in May this year. Its renewal is still being heard by the Senate, so there is uncertainty that at the moment. But can the media network continue to operate after the date its franchise expires? Joanna reports.
On February 10, 2020, Solicitor General Jose Calida filed a quo warranto petition at the Supreme Court against ABS-CBN Corporation. Solicitor General Calida accused the network of violating Republic Act 7966, its franchise law, and RA 8332, which granted a franchise to multimedia telephony. The petition was filed months before the media network's franchise expires. The Solicitor General has earlier denied that his move is motivated by politics.
Walang politics ito,
But once ABS-CBN Corporation's franchise expires and its renewal does not get approved, can it still continue to operate? According to Senate President Vicente Soto III, the media network can.
As long as there is a pending franchise or pending bill for extension of franchise, they are deemed extended.
This is supported by the kapisanan ng mga broadcaster or KBP.
That is a principle and a practice that is observed not only by Senate but also by Congress and other government agencies. Now, for as long as the application for extension is filed.
However, constitutional law expert Attorney George Erwin Garcia, Dean of Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila's College of Law, says otherwise.
From the point of view of law kasi, kapag natapos na ang iyong prangkisa sa eksaktong oras na ito, then any operation outside ng prangkisa na yan, sa date ng prangkisa, will be illegal. So, sige, pwede kang makapag-operate, wala namang magbabawal sa iyo, pero ano yung dahilan mo sa pag-ooperate? Wala ka ng franchise.
But lawmakers have recently insisted the decision on ABS-CBN franchise renewal lies in their hands. Joe Hanano, UNTV News and Rescue.
Welcome back. Not all of the Filipinos aboard the Diamond Princess cruise liner docked in Yokohama, Japan will fly back to the Philippines. Health officials say some of our compatriots continue their functions as crew members despite the situation on the cruise liner. Aiko Miguel explains why.
The Filipinos to be repatriated from the Diamond Princess cruise ship docked in Japan are expected to arrive tomorrow. More than 400 of them have signified to return to the Philippines, but the exact number of repatriates is still uncertain, Philippine authorities say. Of the 538 Filipinos aboard the cruise liner, 531 are crew members, while 7 are passengers. According to Foreign Affairs Assistant Secretary Ed Meñez, they are still waiting for confirmatory test results of the samples taken from the Filipinos. The DFA official further says that some of our compatriots on the quarantine ship might continue to stay aboard and fail to join the flight back to the Philippines. The Diamond Princess cruise ship's management has asked some of the crew members to stay behind for the ship's operation.
Ang Diamond Cruises mismo ang nagsabi na titignan namin kung sino lang ang kailangan na crew members na essential para patuloy ang pagtakbo ng ship, maintenance siguro, pero lahat ng hindi essential kailangan ng umuwi.
Some of the Filipinos have recently signified they wanted to stay on the ship. According to health officials, they have received reports that some Filipino crew members have been continuously working amid the situation.
They have said that some of these crew members were allowed to do the functions like serving food, going and bringing these different provisions for the passengers.
59 Filipinos on the cruise liner have tested positive for COVID-19. 2 of them have recovered and discharged from health facilities. But they will take a different flight back to the Philippines. They will be separated from other repatriates. The Filipinos who will fly back to the country will undergo thorough health screening before getting on the plane. Upon arrival in the country, a post-screening will be conducted before they are taken to the Athletes Village of the new Clark City Sports Hub in Tarlac Province for a 14-day quarantine. Based on the Health Department's report, there are already 609 patients under investigation or PUI in the country. 516 of the PUIs have tested negative for COVID-19. 44 PUI samples still await results. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
In other news, the Department of Health confirms new cases of Filipinos infected with the novel coronavirus in Singapore and in the Middle East, with 1 in an unstable condition. Meanwhile, the Philippine government advises Filipinos to delay their non-essential travel to South Korea amid the rising cases of coronavirus infection in the East Asian country. Kath Dumaraos explains why.
A Filipino in Singapore has tested positive for the deadly coronavirus disease 2019. According to DOH Assistant Secretary Maria Rosario Vergere, the patient is now in isolation at Singapore's National Center for Infectious Diseases.
He's a permanent resident of Singapore. He's a 41-year-old male. Wala siyang travel history sa China, and he is now confined in one of the facilities in Singapore, and as reported, he is in stable condition.
The Philippine Embassy is also in close contact with Singaporean health officials to monitor the condition and well-being of the Filipino who tested positive of the virus. Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates, or UAE, has confirmed its 3 new cases of the coronavirus, which include another Filipino national. According to UAE's Ministry of Health and Prevention, or MOHAP, the confirmed cases include a 34-year-old Filipino, 39-year-old Bangladeshi, and 70-year-old Iranian national. The man, 70, whose health is unstable, is currently in the intensive care. The department also said the Filipino and the Bangladeshi national are both in stable condition. There are now 13 confirmed COVID-19 cases in the UAE. Among them are 2 Filipino nationals, 1 in an unstable condition.
Yung unang kaso po natin ay isang 43-year-old male. Pumunta po siya sa ospital kasi nahihirapan siyang huminga, no? And when he was admitted, he was already intubated. Ibig sabihin naka-respirator na siya. So ngayon, ang report sa atin ng ating embassy doon, unstable yung condition niya.
The UAE already suspended passenger flights to mainland China with the exception of Beijing due to the virus outbreak. Meanwhile, the Philippine government advised Filipino travelers to delay non-essential travel to the country amid the threat of the novel coronavirus 2019. South Korea raised its alert on the coronavirus to the highest level on Sunday after reporting 3 more deaths and 169 new infections. The Department of Health also clarified today that there is still no confirmed case of Filipinos infected with disease in the country. The DFA, through the Philippine Embassy in Seoul, advises all Filipinos in South Korea to monitor and comply with the advisories from South Korean health authorities and cooperate with efforts to quell the further spread of the virus. It urged Filipinos in South Korea to contact the emergency hotline number at the Philippine Embassy in Seoul at +8210-9263-8119 during emergency situations. The total number of confirmed coronavirus cases on mainland China is now 77,150 and 2,592 have died from the outbreak. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Philippine Consulate General's Office in Hong Kong announced today that the Autonomous Territory's lone Filipino COVID-19 patient has turned out negative of the virus based on the confirmatory test. The patient remains healthy and is expected to be discharged from the hospital confinement within this week. Citing reports from the Hong Kong's health department, only 3 Filipinos remain in quarantine as of today. All 3 are in healthy condition and asymptomatic. They are likewise expected to be released anytime this week. Since February 15, 3 Filipinos have been discharged after completing their 14-day mandatory quarantine.
Oil companies are set to implement price adjustments beginning tomorrow, February 25, in separate advisories. Clean Fuel and Phoenix Petroleum Philippines Incorporated said they will hike prices per liter of gasoline by 30 centavos and diesel by 20 centavos. The changes will take effect 6 a.m. on Tuesday, February 25. Petrogas and Filipina Shell Petroleum Corporation earlier made similar announcements, while other firms have yet to release advisories for this week. The Philippine National Police Chief emphasizes that regional directors are left with only 5 days to give him a list of cops involved in illegal gambling. This list must include those collecting from illegal gambling operations or those who are protecting operators. Lea Ilagan tells us why.
The PNP
regional directors have only 5 days to submit to PNP Chief Police General Archie Gamboa the list of policemen who are collectors and protectors of illegal gambling. Gamboa said last week he had sent a list of illegal gambling operators per region, so the PNP chief expected the regional directors to send him their list of policemen involved in illegal gambling operations.
To the concerned regional directors of the Philippine National Police, I have forwarded to you list of operators in your different regions. I'm giving you a week. If you will not stop, then I will relieve you.
Based on several reports, anti-wetting advocates complain that there are still wetting operations in the country. They also doubt that there are police officers who accept money in exchange for protection. Gamboa reiterates he does not receive any money from wetting or any forms of illegal gambling.
The Chief PNP doesn't get a single centavo out of wetting. At hindi ko rin pinapaipon.
Last month, General Gamboa relieved a numbers of police officials, including 10 from National Capital Region Police Office, due to their involvement in illegal gambling operations. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Cam Krame.
Controversial police official, Police Lieutenant Colonel Jovi Espinido, may face an administrative case. This is apart from the sanctions after the result of the Adjudication Board's investigation on his alleged link to illegal drugs comes out. Lalaine Moreno reports why.
Police Regional Office 6 will investigate Police Lieutenant Colonel Jovi Espinido for speaking before the media. According to PRO6 Director Brigadier General Rene Pamuspusan, Espinido committed violation of instruction. Pamuspusan clarifies that Philippine National Police Chief Archie Gamboa had ordered all officials to wait for the result of the Adjudication Board's investigation before issuing a public statement.
In fact, as the regional director, I've already initiated the investigation against Colonel Espinido and asked him his reasons for this inappropriate conduct of a press con. Kasi hindi naman ito authorized and it's not sanctioned by our leadership.
Espinido conducted a press conference with the media in Bacolod and Iloilo last week. He claimed there is a failure of intelligence in the Philippine National Police. He also alleged that a politician is behind his inclusion in the narco list. Espinido also said he is not afraid of being dismissed in the service and if someone from the government or the PNP could kill him. The Deputy Regional Director for Administration is in charge of the investigation of Espinido's case. If proven of committing any violation, Espinido will be charged with an administrative case.
I have already reported to the Chief PNP that we made Colonel Espinido explain his actions, and if warranted, we will proceed with an administrative case against him.
Pamuspusan has personally talked with Espinido, who said he has apologized to PNP Chief Gamboa for his actions. Pamuspusan adds that Espinido is ready to face possible sanctions after due process. PRO6 has submitted its investigation report on Espinido's alleged drug link during his stint as Deputy City Director for Operations in Bacolod City. Lalaine Moreno, UNTV News and Rescue, Iloilo.
Y News continues. The Transportation Department says the rehabilitation of MRT-3 is ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, the Philippines has purchased tunnel boring machines from Japan. These equipment will be used for the first ever subway in the country. Joanano details why.
The major equipment to be used for the excavation of the Metro Manila subway project will be delivered by August this year. The Transportation Department today showcased several spare parts of the tunnel boring machines. According to DOTR Undersecretary for Railways Timothy John Batan, the country has purchased 6 tunnel boring machines from Japan.
parte po ito nung tinatawag nating tunnel boring machine na siya pong maghuhukay ng mga tunnels natin para sa Metro Manila Subway Project. Yung una nating tunneling na gagamit ng tunnel boring machine ay mag-uumpisa galing sa depot natin sa Ugong Valenzuela patungong Quirino Highway Station.
The DOTR targets the partial operation of the country's first ever subway by 2021. The DOTR also reported the completion of MRT3 rehabilitation is ahead of schedule. As of now, the Mitsubishi Heavy Industries has finished the replacement of new rails from Taft to Buendia Station, both northbound and southbound, while the rail replacement along North Avenue down to Quezon Avenue Station southbound lane is underway.
Humigit kumulang po 3 months advance po yung progress natin. Ang original po natin na timeline ay 26 months po from May of 2019. Yan po ay ang dulo po niyan ay July po next year. Doon po sa huling datos na nakita po natin, halimbawa doon sa progress ng pagpapalit ng mga riles, tayo po ay ahead of schedule.
Based on DOTR's original plan, the MRT rehabilitation will end in July 2021. Once completed, the DOTR will be able to increase the number of running trains to 20 from the current 15 train sets. They may also increase the speed of the trains from the current 30 km per hour to 60 km per hour. They may also be able to lower the headway of the trains from the more than 7 minutes down to 3 minutes. With this development, the DOTR says they will be able to increase the daily ridership of MRT3 to around 600,000 from the current 300,000 daily. Johanaro, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
And for the news abroad, at least 9 people, including 3 children, are dead in eastern Turkey after an earthquake struck with its epicenter in neighboring Iran. Meanwhile, a U.S. Daredevil pilot has been killed during an attempted launch of a homemade rocket in the Californian desert. Beverly Saison details why.
In Turkey, 9 people died and hundreds of buildings collapsed in southeastern Turkey on Sunday after a magnitude 5.7 earthquake struck near the border with Iran, injuring dozens in villages and towns in both countries. 3 of those killed were children and 37 Turks were injured, including 9 critically, Turkey's health ministry said. The shallow tremor caused more than 1,000 buildings to collapse in Turkey, prompting a brief rescue effort to find those trapped under rubble. In the USA, a man was killed at New Orleans Mardi Gras celebration on Saturday after being run over by a parade float. The accident is the second death to happen during this year's festival. Police think the man was killed after reaching for a beaded necklace that was being handed out from a float that was connected to others in tandem when he was struck and dragged underneath it. On Wednesday, a 58-year-old woman was also run over and killed by a tandem float during a different parade. Meanwhile, Daredevil Mad Mike Hughes was killed on Saturday after his homemade steam-powered rocket crash-landed shortly after takeoff near Barstow, California. Hughes was well known for his belief that the Earth was flat. He hoped to prove his theory by going to space. Saturday's launch was reportedly filmed as part of Homemade Astronauts, a new TV series about amateur rocket makers to be aired on the U.S. Science Channel. The project had to be carried out on a tight budget. Mad Mike and his assistant built the homemade rocket in his backyard, spending around $18,000. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue.
Taxi passengers in Shanghai, China are now required to disclose personal information, including mobile phone numbers, each time they take a ride. Mirasol Abogadil will tell us why.
A new coronavirus tracking scheme has been launched in Shanghai, China on Friday, asking all taxi drivers to stick a QR code inside their taxi. Passengers are asked by taxi drivers to scan the code, fill in certain details including their mobile phone number, and then tracking of their journey can begin. 57-year-old taxi driver Shang Yan Lei feels relieved with this operation, saying he sees it as a safeguard from the Chinese government.
2月22号开始要实行坐车
I started the taxi QR code scanning on February 22nd. It's convenient for us to curb the epidemic.
就是那个我们寻找 那个疫情比较方便嘛。
However, some are concerned about this invasion of privacy. One Shanghai resident, Chen Yong, said that he was worried about personal information leakage, especially after the virus ends.
我个人的话是非常赞同这一点的，因为
If we talk about worries, of course I'm a little bit worried. It's my mobile phone number and there's a lot of nuisance calls now.
非常有利于帮助他。
Right now the government supervision is strong and I am worried when the virus ends and the supervision is gone. This information will be leaked.
测到有问题的话，可以及时的、精确的定位，防止这个疫情更加扩散。
Beyond Shanghai, the Chinese government is enlisting the help of Alibaba Group Holding Limited and Tencent Holdings Limited to expand caller-based systems for tracking individuals affected with the coronavirus nationwide. The measures come at a time the Chinese government takes control of the movement of people, hoping to curb the spread of the virus. The new coronavirus epidemic has so far killed over 2,500 people and infected 77,000 in mainland China. Mirasol Abugadil, UNTV, News and Rescue.
A 29-year-old Chinese doctor who postponed his wedding to treat coronavirus patients died of the bug, one of the youngest people to die from the disease. Kath Dumaraos details why.
Colleagues mourn the death of Peng Yinhua, a Chinese doctor who postponed his wedding to join the fight against the coronavirus disease or COVID-19 outbreak after he died from the virus, leaving behind a pregnant wife. Peng, a respiratory acute care medical professional, became infected while treating patients of the novel coronavirus at the First People's Hospital of Jiangxia District in Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak. He was hospitalized on January 25th and transferred to Wuhan Jinyintan Hospital for treatment on January 30. He passed away Thursday despite the Wuhan Jinyintan Hospital medical staff's all-out efforts to save his life. Peng is fondly remembered by his colleague as an honest, optimistic, and hardworking man who is always ready to help.
Though we wear protective suits, we are still worried about the risks. He told me that as a man, he is strong enough to attend to more patients.
Peng and his wife tied the knot in November 2017, but the wedding celebration was postponed to February 1st this year as he was attending a training course. Despite the hospital having allowed him to take a holiday for his wedding, Peng offered to delay the big day to stand with his colleagues amid the epidemic. Peng never got to send out his wedding invitations, which are still in his office drawer. At least 8 medical professionals have been killed by the virus, including 34-year-old whistleblowing Dr. Li Wenliang, whose death earlier this month prompted a public outcry and anti-government postings on social media. More than 1,700 medical workers in China have been infected, mostly in central Hubei province, where Wuhan is located. Peng fought the disease with strong conviction even in his last days. On February 2nd, he wrote an oath in his social media platform saying that, "Although I am just an ordinary doctor, I will learn from others and apply for party membership. We will win the war without the smoke of gunpowder under the leadership of the Communist Party of China." Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Wish 107.5, the FM station with a heart, held a successful Wish Olympics last night. This will be followed by an intensified relief operation for the beneficiary of the one-of-a-kind charity event. Mon Hokson tells us why.
Who would have thought that you can combine sports, music, and charity in a one-of-a-kind event to help those in need? Wish 107.5 did just that. And in a rare occasion, actors, various OPM acts, and sports personalities gathered yesterday at the Big Dome to support the advocacy of Wish FM CEO, Kuya Daniel Razon. And this is to help the victims of the Taal volcano eruption. Wishers witnessed outstanding musical performances and exciting volleyball and basketball games. The volleyball match lasted for more than 2 hours. Volleyball star players as well as several celebrities participated. Even Ate Arlene Razon, the better half of Kuya Daniel Razon, excited the crowd even more when she entered the volleyball court to play. The man behind this innovative feat said the company will intensify the relief operations for the Taal volcano victims that UNTV News and Rescue started.
God willing, after this, we will be going again to Taal, yung area na yan. We will be conducting simultaneous na medical missions as well as yung ating relief operations para doon sa mga pamilya na lubhang naapektuhan nitong pagsabog ng Bulkang Taal.
The OPM artists and the athletes said they did not have second thoughts in joining Wish Olympics.
Nakakatuwa dahil marami po tayong matutulungan ngayong gabi mula sa Taal, yung mga biktima. And I always love being part of the Wish family. Iba talaga yung spirit dito. Masasabi ko lang, iba.
I'm just grateful to Wish for giving us a chance to share our music at maging bahagi ng ganitong klaseng event na hindi lang nagsasaya yung mga tao pero tumutulong.
Not only giving a platform for our athletes dito sa Pilipinas, pero also helping out sa mga nasalanta po nung Taal eruption.
Nakakatuwa lang kasi different kind of way naman na makatulong. Mag-enjoy lahat ng tao, lahat ng manonood, and then at the same time makakatulong pa. So props to Wish talaga kasi galing nung naisip nila.
Wish FM, together with UNTV News and Rescue, will launch the intensified relief operations for the Taal victims who are in need next month. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news. And before we close, we will recap with today's significant soundbites. I am William Theo.
And I am Angelo Castro III, because we need to know. We will always ask why. Good evening.
Sorry if we offended the President. That was not the intention of the network. We felt that we were just abiding by the laws and regulations that surround the airing of political ads.
Kaya inirekomenda ko, sinuggest ko sa Senate, sa Congress na mag-pass ng concurrent resolution authorizing the National Telecommunications Commission na mag-issue pansamantala ng provisional authority.
They spent 2 hours discussing whether they have authority to do that or not. I can't even understand. Hindi pala kayo sigurado ng trabaho niya. Bakit pinagdidipatihan pa niya?
Diamond Cruises mismo ang nagsabi na titignan namin kung sino lang ang kailangan na crew members na essential para patuloy ang pagtakbo ng ship, maintenance siguro, pero lahat ng hindi essential kailangan ng umuwi.
Yung unang kaso po natin ay isang 43-year-old male. Pumunta po siya sa ospital kasi nahihirapan siyang huminga, no? And when he was admitted, he was already intubated. Ibig sabihin naka-respirator na siya. So ngayon, ang report sa atin ng ating embassy doon, unstable yung condition niya.
God willing, after this, we will be going again to Taal, yung area na yan. We will be conducting simultaneous na medical missions as well as yung ating relief operations para doon sa mga pamilya na lubhang naapektuhan nitong pagsabog ng Bulkang Taal.